talk about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is held as this really, really important thing that you need to stay focused on. We hear about these hackers around every corner, behind every door, right? It seems like it seems like that whenever we hear about hacking, we always think that people can just somehow randomly remote access into a computer. And I like to, give a counterpoint to that. That's probably not going to happen. Like, I mean, it doesn't even make sense. Everyone's like, "Oh, your computer, you can just randomly exploit it. Hackers on the internet. The internet is this big, scary place, and it's like hackers on the internet can instantly connect to your computer, and it's the market of just fear mongering, as well as just lies, as well as people just covering up what can and cannot be done. If we were to do a Google search right now and ask about Wi-Fi hacking, or if someone were to hack into your computer or your security system, it's always like this. It's always like this. It's always like this. You say, "Oh, someone's on your public access Wi-Fi. This is dangerous. This is bad. They can hack into any device on the network once they get access into your network, and they can pivot on, especially don't be on any guest Wi-Fi networks. For most new good security, but like here as well. For us like cybersecurity researchers as well. And in these articles, when you go and read these articles, we can actually do something live right now. You want to go read these articles. It's just going to tell you, oh, this can be done. Hackers on the internet can be done. People on the dark web can sell your information. But they never tell you where they get the information. They never tell you where it's stored. They never tell you like how someone on your Wi-Fi network, and we're just using a basic Windows computer. You have an iPad, a tablet, a Samsung tablet, a recently updated Samsung phone, Android phone. There's nothing on it. You don't have any ports open on your phone. It's useless, right? And it's like these people, they're like, oh, your entire files can be stolen. They can actually get complete remote access to your computer. Do you know how hard that is? Even if you have, some ports open on your computer. Most people don't even have the file share turned on their computer. They just don't. They keep their files either on the computer or in the cloud when they want to share files with each other, which means they'd have to hack into Google Drive or OneDrive or something like that, which means you don't even need to be on the network to do that. I mean, you'd have to get their password. Most likely they have two-step verification on there, or they don't, and you just have to get their password. Okay, that's a different type of hacking. You don't need to be on their Wi-Fi network for that. Some people are like, oh, you can log in SMB brute force across the network, and not really. I mean, people use pins nowadays, Windows pins. And also, even if they were to get that, if you don't have your file share turned on, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think they can access any of your files. That's not how this works, at least on Windows computers. Everyone's like, oh, you can SSH vulnerabilities. Nobody has SSH turned on their computer. And that's just on Windows here, which is one of the most vulnerable operating systems. What they can do is if your computer's not up to date, maybe it's on XP, Vista, Windows 7 or something like that, maybe they can use Eternal Blue and get your files there as well. And then maybe then they can escalate into remote desktop access as well. But on Windows 10 and 11, it's been so locked down. You don't even have the ability to net send or message send across the network anymore unless you have a specific Windows 10 or 11 Pro license key, which I do. But I don't think anyone else has it here, so I don't think anyone's been able to do that as well. Everyone's talking about, oh, they can hack into your network. Even if they would do this, they hack into your network, they get into your Wi-Fi network or anything like that. Most likely, they're not going to be able to get into your computer unless you're running a computer that was last relevant when Bill Clinton was president. No. And let's say that they, intercept your browsing history. Maybe they'll get, the domain names or anything like that. But most browsers are A, smart enough to know if you're in one of those sniffing/spoofing attacks, and B, these browsers also, most websites are encrypted via HTTPS, so they're not really going to get any information. So the only thing that they really can do is set up a phishing attack. Right? I hear these stories of kids who did, grade changing schemes. What really got me into tech was Adventures in Odyssey. Nicholas Adams with the grade-changing scheme, remotely hacking to the computer in the 1993 episode The Power. The Novacom saga, with the people talking over the website, with ARM, and you have the hidden cameras, and you have these dial-up modems and remote access. Dial-in is dead. When's the last time any of you have even connected your computer to a phone? And by connecting your computer to a phone, I mean a phone that actually plugs into the wall. And last week, we talked about this phone for kids that was $75 plus $9.99 that just used your house's Wi-Fi. Most of these phones, cordless phones, even so, are just using some sort of VoIP service. So it doesn't even matter. Like, you just be connecting. It's an infinite loop. You connect computers connected to Wi-Fi, your phone's connected to Wi-Fi. Right, the only time you ever connect your phone to your computer is when you're like using My Phone Link or whatever they do with the iPhones linked up to the MacBooks. Right, I was reading Reddit once, and this thread was like 13 years old. And some student maybe accessed the gradebook because they use Excel to keep track the students' grades, and these files are hosted over a network file share. At least in a district like the size of HISD or something, they don't do that. You think they're keeping these thousands and thousands of kids, probably millions and millions of kids, grades just on some random Excel spreadsheet hosted over the Wi-Fi? Nah, they're using PowerSchool. Canvas. These are cloud-based solutions here. Cloud-based solutions that are, that cost millions and millions of dollars, not for the districts, but that's how much revenue they will be generating. Wait, you think these people are just having like SQL injections on these? You cannot change your grade unless you hack into the computer or just steal the password from a teacher. That's a lot easier. Okay, it's not like your grades are just floating out there on some random Excel spreadsheet or something like that. We were talking about this before on some other recent podcast episodes. I'm going to have to go back and search, right? This grading program that was, had the ability to be hosted over the network. No one's doing that. No one even hosts things over the network anymore, especially in home users and smaller users. Now, enterprise users, I don't know what they're using. Trying to update thousands of computers, like in enterprise in the United States military, is going to take, a long time. And you need these computers to be online all the time. So maybe they have not been updated since 2017 and thus are vulnerable to eternal blue. Well, what's the other thing? But like tablets and things like this? Nah, you not a chance. And there was this other thing where the student PC had some sort of remote access, malware, parental control access on it. He was able to reverse access it and get some student credentials, which gave him access over all the teacher computers, which was linked up to some PA system, and then he was able to change the PA messages. Okay, that was interesting. But that's not normal. That's not normal. And the truth of the matter is you didn't have to have that parental control remote access software on it already. Which, and we're going to talk about parental control applications today. That's probably another reason why they're so bad, is that you're giving some random third-party access to it. But again, if your computer is normal, that's not going to happen to you. These websites make it seem like that, you click the wrong link and, your computer might end up... someone might end up on your network and just instantly remote accessing all the computers and just get onto this computer and pivot throughout the network. And this has been entirely mitigated by the fact that each and every one of us uses our computers like Chromebooks. I'm gonna harp this until the day I die. These kids in the Chick-fil-A, high school, college age, or whatever, they probably had some very sensitive data or something, but they're just up there, typing on Google Docs on their MacBooks. Hacking into the computer's not really going to do anything about that. Into the network's not really going to do anything about that. But you'd have to hack into the Google accounts, which has nothing to do, again, with the network. You think that they had their files shared across the network? Or, Windows used to have this thing called Home Group. They don't have that anymore. You think they did that? Everyone's like, oh, they can access into the network. No, they cannot. No one file shares across the network. No one. No one even knows what that is. No one has these random files just hosting across the network. At most, they have a NAS, network attached storage device, so like a server that they can access on their own home Wi-Fi. People barely do anything with their computers. File conversion, browser. Typing, browser. Excel, spreadsheet, stuff like that, browser. Notes app, browser, or Notion, or whatever. AI, browser, obviously. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. I don't know why you use Claude, but it's there. Email, even email, browser. What this does? It totally eliminates the target surface. You know, think about everything that I just mentioned. Let's say you have Office 2003 or 7 on your computer. You got Word, Excel, PowerPoint. You doing some stuff in there. Then you have some dedicated instant messaging client instead of using Instagram Web or I don't know what kids use to instant message, Snapchat or whatever. Then you have, your computer is able to be remote access if you dial it in, you dial the number. And then you also have, your files stored across the network because, you have like 20 gigabytes of hard drive storage. You need to, share it. And then you have, I don't know what else. What do people do with computers? Maybe like Photoshop. There you go. That's like, oh, and of course, Internet Explorer. It's like 7 programs that you can all scan the network for. You can try to find vulnerabilities for. Think about it. Office 2007 probably has some vulnerability. Internet Explorer, definitely some vulnerability. You click the wrong link, maybe something will happen. Maybe you don't even have a router. Maybe your computer is directly exposed to the internet. But nowadays, everyone's still playing like this is 2003. Okay? We've eliminated the phone, and it's behind a firewall and a router. We've eliminated half the software programs with just websites. I cannot think of a common software program that the average user uses today that's not in the cloud. Canva, Word, Wikipedia, they're replaced in Carta, ChatGPT, Google. I mean, is there anything that people run offline? Chrome is pretty secure. Edge is, it's secure, and also probably no one wants to attack it because no one uses it. And, you got Windows. I'm assuming your computer's updated. I mean, is there a way to get into the computer? Probably, yes. But here comes the second problem. All these gatekeepers. It's these dang gatekeepers that gatekeep this information. You want to know how to compile this, how to compile the small vulnerabilities that you might find on Exploit DB or whatever exploit website that you use? Good luck, Charlie, on that one. Seriously, good luck and God bless. On that one, for you guys. You guys, they're not gonna tell you how to do this, and some of it is out of the kindness of their heart. They don't want random people, just finding exploits. But also, some of this is just, it's just it's just they're these Linux users. They wanna gatekeep. You guys know how I feel about the Linux users. They're so annoying. They have no lives. They just sit there with their computers and they support the worst policies that have ever been supported on Earth. Okay, that is what these Linux users are. Now, not all of these Linux users. Okay, some of these people are good. They're great Linux users. I guess I would say I'm a Linux user because I've used it before, but it's not my main operating system. But you know what I mean. Okay, I'm still putting in my people onto the thing here, and my goodness, it seems skewed towards girls. But I guess we're the boys that are making the reels. I mean, that's what this is. I'm just going through my entire list here, and another thing that I've seen is, let me see what it says in the notes. I guess it's not in the notes anymore, but there is that. All right. Anyway, let's talk about the and that's the problem with cybersecurity research today. And I'm actually gonna go pull it up here on the website right here. Let me see here. Okay, I'm gonna type in something about like, what can an attacker do if they are on my Wi-Fi? All right, I'm going to show the screen here so you guys can see I'm not making this up. This is not like the custom Google search engine that I made. Oh, you can't see. So I'll just go put it into here. Okay. Now I'll share. All right, you can see the Google search clearly, right? You can see it. Make sure you guys can see this. I'm not making anything up. You can see it right there. Boom. We're not going to use AI mode. We're just going to use regular Google search. What can an attacker do if they're on my Wi-Fi? And let's look at the top 10 results. This is what the people are going to research anymore. I mean, people barely do any research. You know, you want to look something up, you just screenshot the Gemini or the overview. They'll even screenshot the first like 5 words that comes out of ChatGPT. Boom, I'm right. Okay. Anyway, so let's go through here. We're not gonna look at the videos. Now, let's go through the top. Let's go through top 5 and then top 10. Top is hacking, the hacking subreddit here. So we'll open that into a new tab. But I want to go to the websites because most people are going to use the websites. All right. That's also another form, so we won't skip over that. We won't skip over that. All right. Here we have Aura. Aura is like this security company. They want people to buy their service. And the top results, other than some of the forums that people aren't really going to read here. All right, this is what Aura themselves has to say. It was written and reviewed. It says your Wi-Fi may be prone to hacking things. Oh, yes. Almost talk about this. Router hacking. Everyone talks about, oh, your Wi-Fi router malware might be hacked. And then I looked it up, and I'm like, well, okay, then what? Like what exactly can be done? And you won't find anything. Yeah, you won't find much. Maybe you'll find something about like I read something about some Huawei routers were hacked by the NSA. But the freaking NSA is like coming into your computer and trying to hack it. Okay. Here it is. Here can your Wi-Fi be hacked? It says approximately 1 in 16 internet-connected home Wi-Fi routers can be remotely accessed by attackers using the manufacturer's default admin password. Now, this may have been true, but our default admin password is completely random, and I have it memorized. I'm not going to say it here, but it's random. It's not a word. It's hard to get into. It says that, and then it's going to say how they can be hacked. It doesn't really give any real, actual examples. It says they can be brute forced. Like this is what it's something in command prompt. You just type in brute force Wi-Fi, and that's how you do it. You use the manufacturer's default password. People really phase that out. Exploiting vulnerability, DNS hacking, and then they say, what can scammers do if they hack into your Wi-Fi? So they say they can monitor all of your unencrypted traffic. Yeah. Whose bank in the year of our Lord 2025 is using HTTP? Please tell me. I name and shame them, honestly. Or like a government website when you're entering your name and financial information, which address doesn't really matter because if they know your Wi-Fi network, they know where you live. Seeing as Wi-Fi only transmits like 200 feet, so I'm pretty sure they'll have some sort of an idea. It's not like they're hacking Wi-Fi from Kuwait over there. Nah, you gotta be like the neighbor's house or like inside the house. Okay, let's assume that you don't have a guest network. You just give your guest your regular password. What can they do with that? Let's move on. They can steal your identity and commit fraud. If, for some reason, you're inputting your social security number on an unencrypted public web Wi-Fi or unencrypted network. And then it says, once your Wi-Fi network is hacked, scammers can gain remote access to any connected device with poor security settings, even thermostats. And then they might steal data. And there's a chain of routers, actually. No one is going to hack your thermostat. I mean, someone might. Like, I'm pretty sure of all the billions of people that have thermostats, someone's thermostat has been hacked once. Okay? I'm not saying it cannot be hacked. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? I'm pretty sure those thermostats are pretty insecure. I'm just saying, like, let's talk about, like, pivoting over into your computer over here. We're going to talk about, they might raise the temperature. Whoop-de-doo. Okay. Strange activity in your browser. DNS settings. Now, that is something that can actually happen as well. But it is unusual software on your devices. Yes, somehow hacking into your Wi-Fi network will cause your computer to start randomly downloading stuff. Or your phone. Or knows full well that is so unlikely going to happen. You cannot just beam, a virus onto someone's computer. Bro, I have access to this network myself. I cannot beam a virus onto my brother's tablet. I cannot just. I can't be like, wait, okay, so his phone is connected to the network. Let me just type in the number here. Boop, boop, boop. They got a virus. Boom, beam. That's not how phones work. That's not how computers work. And these companies know it. They know it. Like, could this happen maybe once? Yes. Okay. Fringe cases here. Okay. But like, you have a better chance of a home invasion, someone coming in and actually picking up the computer, and taking out the hard drive and looking at it, then someone beaming data onto your phone or something like that via your Wi-Fi network. All right, now let's go to we're going to go back to, here it is here, Control D. It looks like another company that tries to sell something, Nord Security. I think I sell a VPN, so here we go. Control D. Yeah, they look like a security company here. This is the blog here. Let's see what Dipak or Daya has to say to us. So they're going to go over what a Wi-Fi attack is. We all know what these are. Rogue access points, where someone pretends to be a router. You have the evil twin, packet sniffing, war driving, spoofing attacks, man in the middle, DOS attacks, the opportunity, whatever. All right, so that's just coming from a place that this person somehow already got access to the network. Okay, let's move in. They're going to say how these work. Now, how's that? Who's at risk? Okay. It's not saying what they can do. But it's not saying what they can do. Okay. And that's it with the top 10. Let's go back over to Nord Security. Here the vulnerabilities. So they have physical hacking, which, I mean, that's called breaking and entering. You have some other problems going on here. Local hacking, so they hack into it, whatever. And remote access. All right, here we go. Here's what they say that can happen if once they gain access to the network. We don't want to know how, but they can have persistent backdoors, remote device use. How? You cannot just start installing programs on random people's computers just because they're connected to the Wi-Fi. Redirect the traffic, launch social engineering attacks. That's actually a legitimate thing there as well. Or maybe use your router to pretend that it wasn't you. Okay, maybe that's one of two. Two of however many is on there. But I'm not saying security is not important, but it's the cybersecurity industrial complex. Forgive me for saying that. Is it's just based off of fear mongering. That's what this is. It's fear mongering. Because and it also lies. Well, not lies, but frustrating because no one explains to me, who's interested in cybersecurity, how this is even possible. There's someone hacked the network and then my computer just randomly got malware on it. It's not like you had access to that spy program that the Redditor was talking about, where it could see the screen of the device, right? It's not like, you have access to someone's Wi-Fi, so now you can just install remote access Trojans on it. And secondly, this kind of demonstrates how boring our computing has got, that we're not talking about access to data on the device in most of these cases. We're not talking about anything that you can do on the device. And in fact, some of these spy programs are actually a little bit more interesting because they have, terminal commands. You can see someone else's screen. You can control the computer from halfway across the board on the LAN. But our computing has gotten so boring. It's just banking websites. You can just I don't know, read YouTube, read a website, scroll through your magazine, upload a photo to Instagram or whatever. In the 90s, you actually were diving into someone's computer if you wanted to remote access to it. And, the computing software would be running offline. Or maybe even shared across the network. When's the last time anyone, I was reading about these kids again on Reddit, they hit this program called Doom or some other video game on the network, and they could access it from any computer on the network. So they just log in, type in the file share, and they could play the game hosted across the network. When's the last time any of you have actually hosted a program, not just one, but any program, on the network, not on the server, not on the internet? I'm not talking about internet gaming, but actually just have a computer program. No one's done that. Most programs don't even support that. I don't even think you can do that with Word. It's not like you can have 5 people on the same Word document, all typing together over the same network. Not Word Online, but just say a regular version of Word. That's not how it works. Okay, Microsoft, one copy of Word for one computer. Okay, even if it's the same computer and you have the different account, I'm not even sure if they'll let you do that. Okay, yeah, you think they'll let you type on a network, and people don't even do this, especially if the one computer program to use is the browser. Like no one's gonna be like, oh, okay, let's gain access to the browser. All right. Now, the one thing that you probably do have to look out for is if you go to a vulnerable website and it has something in it like Beef. Beef is a browser exploitation framework, and it lets you maybe like infect the website and fish for credentials, which is pretty cool. I think I've talked about it before. I think my headphones are charged up enough, so I'm going to go in, finish putting in the list so that we can do the spinner.